Hey everybody, so today is going to be the second episode of the World of Autism, and I have confirmed with one of my train friends, thank you Drew, that there is a train coming here soon. I am back at the same place I was at before, the York Haven Railroad Crossing, which is in York Haven, PA, which carries the Norfolk Southern Port Road branch. So, today's topic is the A word. The A word is not autism, and it is not the other word that you probably thought of that your parents would yell at you for saying. The A word is Asperger's. I guess I should explain myself. Autism is not a bad word. It's just a word detailing that you have a different neurology than other people do. Some people get really freaky when you mention autism, but I am hoping to change that. Now, if you've been around for the past, I'd say 10 years or so, you have probably heard the word Asperger Syndrome or just Asperger's or Aspie a couple of times. Now, what it was historically meant to denote was a higher functioning form of autism. Asperger syndrome is no longer used in the diagnostic standards manuals for mental health professionals. There are a couple of reasons for this. The first one is that Asperger's comes from a guy named Hans Asperger, who back in World War II was a Nazi doctor who performed experiments on some children there. I don't know the details of it, but I do know he coined the term Asperger Syndrome. And I could be wrong on that, but remember what I said about I could be wrong on some stuff? That is part of the reason why it fell out of fair use, but the reason why they didn't just give it another term and keep using it is because they've discovered that people with Asperger syndrome and people with autism, it's just not that different in the minds of all the researchers. There are definitely some differences between people who you would think of as having Asperger syndrome and people who you would think of as being autistic. A long time ago, people thought that autism meant the people who have really low executive function and are a lot of special needs that they would need to take care of themselves. And they would think of Asperger's as meaning people like me who are just a bit different, but still technically are autistic. And lately, there's been more research that shows that there's not a lot of difference. The term high-functioning autism was thrown around for a bit. The proper term nowadays that we prefer to use is autism spectrum disorder, or ASD, if you've heard that term before. It means the same thing as what Asperger's used to mean. And I am very thankful that I have the level of executive function that I have because I can live independently. Well, I live with my wife and a lot of pets, but you know what I mean. I can hold down a job. When is this train gonna get here? When the train gets here, I'm gonna jump out of here and film the train instead of this. But let's see how long that gives us until. Now, I never really liked the term Asperger syndrome because people often used it to kind of discount every struggle that people like me were facing. Some people have even told me, you're not autistic, you just have Asperger syndrome. And this has happened even quite recently. And I'm not criticizing anyone who said that or being mean to them, but you guys should know that Asperger syndrome just isn't a term that people use anymore. Now, it can be harmful to some autistic people because people think Asperger's and they think quirky people who just like trains and are good at math and were in the gifted program in school. And they think that they don't need any specific support or specific help with them for anything. And you can probably see why this is not a good thing, because people like me and other people who have a bit lower executive function than me, they were still getting rolled into the same category and just getting treated like anyone else. But the truth is, people with Asperger syndrome, I guess I should stop saying that, people who had a previous diagnosis of Asperger syndrome still have some special needs. Like, for example, it's very hard to hold down a job or to get a job if you're on the autism spectrum. For example, I needed to go through an autism group to get mine because I suck at interviews. And that's my common trait among other people who had the previous diagnosis of Asperger syndrome. That's just one example. Most people who had that diagnosis previously, they have a lot of trouble fitting in society. They have trouble making friends, and it's kind of hard for them to figure out what to do and basically how to play the game that is life. Now, here's one trait of that. It's forgetting what you were going to say or stuttering. People make fun of Joe Biden for stuttering. You should not do that, because I really wish I could just talk regularly and not stutter at stuff. That's another example. Some people with that previous diagnosis, they do need a lot of speech therapy because speech impediments can come with it, and they need help with that to get through a lot of things. For example, to not get made fun of, but also if they work in an industry where they need to talk to people, I need to talk to people at work a lot. And so it takes a lot of preparation for me to give my talks and do it all eloquently, for lack of a better word. I think you guys know what I mean. But now that we're saying autism and autism spectrum disorder, it's bringing more to light the struggles of people who we previously said had Asperger syndrome. It's bringing to light more of their struggles. And I'm hoping that here soon that term isn't used anymore, and that people on the autism spectrum who are higher functioning like me can still get the help that we need. Now, I am not meaning to discount anyone who has lower executive function, like people who are nonverbal, people who literally can't live on their own. They are still autistic. It's also not proper to say that they are worse autistic or have or are lower functioning autism, or that there are different levels of autism that people say. And one of the gripes I have with the autism community is that there really isn't that much of a distinction within the literature between people like me and people like that. And I believe that there should be more of a distinction. I believe maybe we should have a different word for higher functioning autism in a way. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, I think I've said everything I can, but the point is, we don't say Asperger syndrome anymore. And people who we did say that about, they're still struggling, and they still need our support. And hopefully more people can realize that they are autistic and that they can get that support later on. Whew. Well, that was a real load off my chest. I've been thinking about this all weekend. But let me know what you guys think, and what and what I can do in these videos to make them better, or if you have any other autism questions that you'd like answered at some point. Thank you.